Hey, what's up, nerds? My name is Bubba Stallcup, and you are watching the Beard Bros Game Show. And joining with me, as always, is my boy, Matt Warmbier.
What up? You did it. You made it.
We
didn't do it, but they did it because they made it.
Oh, no, we haven't done anything yet.
You've arrived to it.
And here you are with us.
Congratulations.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Seven Bridges. And the long title for this is, I want to make sure I get this right. Seven Bridges of Königsberg. And
you did it.
This is an amazing and interesting and innovative roll and write game that are all the rage right now. Some people are over roll and writes. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not one of those people.
Man, I'm all about roll and writes. And you guys, if you guys have been watching this show or listening to our podcast, Free Play at all, you will know that we are kind of into the roll and write scene at present. And so what happened was we heard about this. I actually heard about it while you, Matt, were at Origins.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw I think I saw the post from Ron Halliday, who's in the chat with us. What's up, Ron?
Hey, Ron.
Developer of the game. I saw a post from him in the Board Game Spotlight, and I was like, oh, hey, let me put you in contact with our guys on the ground. And you guys had a chance to sit down and play this game, get a little bit of hands-on, and it's currently in print and play right now, so that reviewers and other people can get their hands on it. But we just want to let you know that this is the game that we are talking about, and if you haven't heard about this game, that's completely fine. It's kind of a sleeper.
That's okay. That's why we're here.
This is exactly why this show exists, is to tell you about things you don't know about. And it is actually coming to Kickstarter later this summer. Kind of an indefinite time right now, but later this summer you'll be able to get your
wait for it.
Yeah. Just calm down.
Be patient. Just be patient.
Will
okay?
you just give me 1 minute? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
Hey, but before we get too far into this, we want to let you guys know that we are part of Love Thy Nerd, where our entire goal is to love and serve our nerdy neighbors. And we want you guys to join us on this journey. So what we're doing is at the beginning of October, we're actually holding what we're calling LTN Con. This is a conference where we are going to teach you how to love and serve your nerdy neighbors better. Matt, we're going to talk about how we go to conventions and what we do there, stuff like playing these games, how that can be a way to bring positivity into an otherwise fairly negative space.
Absolutely.
Somewhat of the time. So it's not a one-to-one. It's not 100% of the time, but there is toxicity. I experienced a little bit of it this morning and in the board game community. And we just want to bring some positivity back into it. And we think that through the love of Jesus is the best way to do that. So we don't come in, we don't swing Bibles at people. We're not carrying around squirt bottles of holy water, although that is a good idea.
Is that a thing?
Super
soakers.
Now that I'm thinking about you, okay. So now we're there. So long as I guess they have the orange tip, we can get them into the con.
We're fine. Yeah, whatever you want to do, really.
It's not too lifelike.
Have you ever? I had one when I was little, and I was like, I'm gonna pump this thing 100 times.
What'd you get to? Like 8?
No, I got to 100 because I'm dedicated. I absolutely did. But
I think your Super Soaker had a leak.
It didn't change though. Like It was like the difference between like 15 and 100. It was like. Anyways.
Oh man. Well, okay, we're gonna do that. But no. Anyway, we don't make it weird. We just want to say, hey, Jesus loves you, and so do we. Let's play some games. And so that's what we do here. We're completely unbiased. Well, that's not true because we only talk about the games that we like, and we're kind of unapologetic about that. There's a lot of other negativity in the world and in the board game space that we're really only going to show you games that interest us and that we think might interest you as well.
Yep.
You can go other places and find reviews and reviewers who will tell you how terrible games are. That's fine. You can go to those places. That's not why we exist, because that's not really being love to people. So that's not loving and serving our nerdy neighbors. And with guys like Ron, who built this game, which is a great roll and write game, we want to make sure that we get this in front of you and in front of as many people as we possibly can. So, Matt, why don't you go ahead and start? You had a chance to play this game at Origins, so why don't you kind of kick us off here a little bit?
I mean, I feel like we should probably explain what a roll and write is before we
That's fair.
dive in. Roll and write, like Bubba said, is kind of, it's all the rage going on right now. I'll go to this top-down cam for you. Roll and write, like there's a few different variations. There's some with cards, there's some with dice, hence roll and write. And this is a roll and write game with drafting of the dice. Roll and write, like you all are playing with. You got that? Oh, that's messed up a little bit.
You're good. I'll fix it. You do.
Okay.
You do that.
With roll and write games, like you're all kind of going off one centralized either dice or cards, and in this case, you're going off of these dice and you're drafting them. So each of you will select one in a round. We will roll these. The roller will take one, pass the rest around. They'll take one until it comes back around or until they're all gone for the round. And whatever you roll really is what you're going to place down. So if I chose this here, cross, I would then mark
you at the crossroads.
Yeah, so you won't be lonely. I would mark the cross on my map.
Yeah.
The really awesome thing about this map is like this is Königsberg, but it's from the 1600s. Is that right, Bubby?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah. 1700s. Like it's an old representation.
1700s. Yeah.
1700s. Which I think that is, honestly, that's what first drew me into the look of the game. Like it is a legit map.
This is a history lesson.
It is a history lesson. Like there are landmarks, there are obviously 7 bridges, and you're making your way through the town. And you're making your way through the town just based on the dice that you select. I love just how it's all laid out, because if you look at this, you would think, oh, this is just a detailed map of this city, and I could go and walk these paths, and I can see that there's a scale on the bottom for, wherever I'm going. But then you really get to look at it, and you're like, what exactly am I looking at here? What landmarks visited, bridges crossed? And then you start to realize, like, oh, this is all points here, which is awesome.
Yeah. And that's super important to note too, because like as you're going through and you're doing the different things in it, like there are 100 different things to track in this game. And that's one of my favorite things about it, is that you're not just rolling and doing one or two things. Like you are constantly having to think about like, okay, is that the best path for me? Is this going to be, do I want to go down here and collect these trees, or do I want to visit landmarks? And like there's always something else going on. But the beauty of it is that you only ever see your play sheet, unless you're like peeking over at somebody else.
I mean, you could, and typically with most roll and writes, you're not really looking at other people's boards or papers. Like you're really focused on your thing. I think the cool thing about 7 Bridges is there are so many different ways to score points. And I was talking to you a little bit earlier, Bubba, just about how like this is almost kind of like that next tier roll and write game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you'll have games like Welcome to, which we've talked about a few weeks ago, where like it's very, I don't want to say it's easy. It is a challenge. It's as much of a challenge as you want to make it. You're still thinking, but this is more thematic, more thoughtful. It's like that next level. We have a friend, Chris, who is also our chief director, chief nerd director, chief whatever.
Executive nerd.
There he is. That's the one. I'm always getting our titles mixed up.
Chief Chris Bro. Yeah.
Chief Bra, nerd bra. Where he loves games with themes, and he loves games that are deep. Like he'll take the Twilight Imperium, he'll take the new Lord of the Rings games. He wants ones that he's going to be immersed into. So when he sat down to play a game like Welcome to, which is a great game, it just didn't catch him.
One of the best roll and writes out there.
Right.
It's not even really a roll and write; it's a flip and write, but still, like fits in this vein of these kinds of games.
So when we sat down to play this, like the theme and the like, it's more of a challenge, because like it's having to think of like, okay, if I take this die versus this die, where am I going to go? What exactly points am I going to go after? And that has, same mechanics kind of in Welcome to, sort of like different ways to get points, but like this is more thematic. It's more like, it's more thoughtful. It's that next level roll and write game, which I really appreciate. And I think it's only the next logical step in these types of games.
Well, they have to. They have to progress. And the interesting thing, if you look over here, I've got mine up on the screen. If you look over here, like in between all of these buildings and stuff like that, like these are predetermined paths. Like I can't carve out an area. Like I couldn't cross this river over here. I can only cross where there are places to cross. So everything is a predetermined route. But because you're rolling the dice, and it's a dice drafting mechanic.
You're sometimes hoping for the best here.
Oh my gosh!
Like especially if you're taking the last die or next to last die, you're like, please, 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 just give me what I need.
Yeah, and so like the way it's gonna go is that you're gonna roll all these dice, like I have them out here, and then so if Matt and I were playing a 2-player game, if I was starting, I would choose a die, and then I would take that, and we'll talk here in just a second what all these mean. But then Matt would choose a die. And he would take that, and then I would choose a die, and he would choose a die. So like we don't just all get to work with all of these dice. Like for instance, if you're playing Railroad Inc., or if you're playing like on tour games like that, like everybody is using all of the dice.
Yeah, you get to yes, exactly.
This is you kind of have to. You don't kinda. You have to use strategy in this game to determine what you're trying to do, and this game is very deep. When we say it's on par with a game like Fleet the Dice game, if you've never played Fleet the Dice game, just Google it. You will see that there is quite a bit of stuff to track and do in that game that you're constantly having to think about things. So if you come back and you look over here on the right hand side, there's a bunch of different things that you are going to be tracking. And let's go ahead and just kind of look at that real quick. So I've got mine pulled up here on the screen. So you've got street footpaths. That's going to be all of these dotted areas. You can't really see it well on my camera. I apologize about that. But these are like your dotted paths. Everything else is a solid path. You're going to count those, and we'll talk about that in a second. And also you're gonna be scoring bridges. Like how many of these bridges? How many of the say it with me? 7 bridges.
Oh, 7. Count them.
7 bridges. How many of these 7 bridges did you count? Did you cross? And for each one you cross, you mark off on this little ticker here. So if you cross all 7 of them, you're going to get 50 points. Landmarks. How many landmarks did you go in front of? How many landmarks did you pass by? And that's all these letters here. And you're going to do those. And then buildings. Like how many buildings? That's these undefined shapes here. How many of those did you pass by? You're going to count those. How many trees? You can't really see them, but those are all these little rows right here. They're all over the place. How many of those did you pass by? Grid squares. This one was the one that I needed to watch the video to fully understand. But when you make it, like for instance, right here to the edge of the map, there's a road that goes right here, and there's a 6. So anytime you touch one of these on the edge, you're going to take the sum of all those numbers, and that's going to be your grid squares coordinates right here. And then last but not least is drafting. And this is the rules state that you do 2 kinds of drafting. So you have the dice drafting where you're going to roll and pick your dice, and then actual like city planner building drafting stuff. So you're just going to draw the lines. That's the drafting that you're doing. So that you're going to take and you're going to use all of these on the side. These are kind of like superpowers. Think of it like any other game. These are your super abilities. Once you pass by a landmark, you're going to get the opportunity to choose any of these that you want. These ones up here, these are all the dice faces that you have, and these are immediate use. So say I passed by A, and I wanted to color in that 3. I would take and I would pass by A like this, and then I would come over here, color in my 3, and I would have to immediately use it. So I would color in that triangle. And then I have to then take that action somewhere on my player board. So these are immediate actions. And then these ones down here, you can use really at the most advantageous time for you. This circle right here, if I were to take that one, what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to re-roll dice, or it's going to allow me to redistribute the dice. So if I say, well, I want Matt to have that one, and that one, and I'll take these 3. Like I could do that and use that ability to do it.
And that can be really, really helpful.
Oh yeah.
When we played, Drew used that to his advantage several times and ended up just destroying us. Where like I was like, oh, I know it doesn't sound like him at all.
No.
Like I didn't use it. I just kind of went willy nilly, and I mean, I used my immediate use powers, but I kind of just ignored the others. And I shouldn't have. I've learned my lesson. Okay.
No, well, hey, it takes a couple of times. Like, you know what?
It does.
Drew must have been really sleepy. He gets really good when he's really sleepy.
I was trying to enjoy my journey here, and he wanted to make me go other ways. All right.
Well, the only other one that we didn't talk about was this one down here. And so this little one down here, if you end up filling that in, this is actually for the footpath. So those dotted areas, you can't walk on those until you've filled in your footpath. Once you do, same thing with any of these, you just color in the triangle right next to it, and that lets you know that you've used it, because no matter how many of these you've unlocked by going by all of these different landmarks with the letters on them, anything that you don't activate doesn't count towards your drafting score. Mm-hmm. So what you're going to do is there's a number, like there's a 6 right here next to this one. Again, it's the sum of all the ones that you've actually used. So if I've used this one and this 3 up here, there's actually a little 1 right next to it. So I'd only get 7 points over here on my drafting score. So there are a lot of things to track. Do I try and go by as many landmarks as possible? Do I try and visit as many buildings as I possibly can? Do I try and cross all 7 bridges? Like, what am I trying to do? But the bridges are going to be one of your biggest deals here.
One thing we didn't really explain was the street and the footpath. It's going to take the amount. You're looking for a closed loop on.
Yep. I said I was going to come back to that, and I didn't.
Yeah. You're looking for a closed loop. So anywhere like you want to draw something up there, Bubby, and it's going to take the amount of sides in your closed loop and then multiply it by the amount of bridges you cross. Like, obviously, the name of the game is called 7 Bridges. These bridges are super important. You need to get around. So that one can be a really quick points. Quick, not, I wouldn't say easy, but they can give you a lot of points, just depending on how many different paths you take, how many different streets you take, how many different bridges you cross.
Right. So this is a closed loop here. Matt, you can't see it, but you'll see it in about 15 seconds when it comes up on the stream. So I've got one here, and I'm crossing 1, 2, 3, 4 bridges. Okay. So then I'm going to take 4 and I'm going to multiply it by the number of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be 8, 16, 24. That's going to be 32 points that I would then get, that I would mark over here. Oh man, I'm so good at writing sideways. That I would write over here.
I often tell people that. I'm like, you should see Bubba writing sideways. He's so good.
Yeah, I stopped putting it on my resume because I don't want to get hired for it.
Yeah, I know.
But that's how you would do that closed loop. And I put it over under bridges. I'm sorry, it needs to go right up here on footpaths. So
you're really good at writing sideways, just not good.
Just not good at putting it. So. Here we go. Ready? One more time. Oh man, that's why I get paid the medium bucks right there.
Got him.
And that can be any street and any footpath. It doesn't matter. If you have 2 loops that are closed, you're going to take the biggest one. It is worth noting that on your drafting, there was a rule that if you don't finish all of these, all these up here, then you actually have to take off whatever your lowest score is in your scoring. So
yep.
You really want to visit the landmarks as much as you possibly can. Like I said, there's a lot going on this player board here. So just to say, well, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to try and do the best. Like, you're looking legitimately at the high 100s, mid 200s every game as far as points go.
Right. And another thing we didn't mention was you can only score, like, you write down all your scores here on your right side, but you can only choose as many of these as bridges you crossed.
That's what it was.
Well.
Not the drafts.
Yeah.
It was the number of bridges that you've crossed.
Yes. So if you only crossed 3 bridges, you can only take 3 scores from the side there for three of your totals.
Good catch. So I crossed 4 bridges here, so I'd be able to pick my top 4 from my scoring area.
which really that kind of, it really changes how you think about like, all right, what am I really going after and how am I going to get across all these bridges? It just really like it adds another layer to the game. Where if we were able to get all 7 categories, like sure, you can do that, but you better get across those bridges because like I said, the bridges are important. So make sure you pay attention to them.
I was telling you before we were rolling here that I actually watched the wrong video to try and figure out how to actually play the game. And I was watching a video by this guy called The Number File, and he was trying to explain how to get across all 7 of the bridges, just like on a Sunday stroll. And I was like 8 or so minutes into that video before I realized I was watching the wrong video. But the good thing is like it gave me the history of the town and how it works, and it helped me with a little bit of the strategy. And it's a good. I'm not going to link it, but if you Google it, that'll be one of the first things.
I mean, if
find.
you want us to link it, we will. Just let us know.
I
but
won't.
did it talk about Leonard Euler?
Euler. It sure did. He was, and he's here in the rules here. So everything I watched in that video was like math and, how it was going to go and stuff like that. And he was the mathematician that actually did that. He tried to figure out how do you do it. And the answer is that you can't. Unfortunately, it doesn't work.
It reminds me of like that, how you used to make a box and try to like make the little loops around the square with picking up your pencil. It reminds me a little of that.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that Euler actually makes his way into this game. And so the way that he gets into the game is on the single player side of it. Mm-hmm. So whereas you have, let me switch back over to my other cam here. This player board that you're looking at right now is actually, this is the multiplayer player board. And a couple of things that we didn't explain is that as each of the turns go on, you're going to take and you're going to mark off these little boxes here. So, if you're playing a 6-player game, you're going to put 6 of these bad boys in here, and that lets you know, you finished round 1, and then you move on to round 2. If you're playing with less people, like if it were just Matt and I, we would tick off 4 of these boxes, and so we would only take 2 turns in each round. But on the backside, well, I say the backside. The way I printed it, it was on the backside. Yeah. But there is actually another player mat for the Euler rules, and everything on here is the same except for it already has 4 of these. Turn markers ticked off in each one of them. And also there is a way to count his score above each one of those, except for the footpath, where he actually cannot count street or footpaths.
Yeah, he doesn't like footpaths, so that makes sense.
And it's really easy to do this. It's super easy. Like once you figured out what you've done, it's like infinitely easy to do his. So for bridges, he crosses all the bridges that you don't. For landmarks, he crosses all the landmarks that you don't. Buildings, same thing. All the ones that you don't, which there's 100 of these. Trees, there's 100 of them as well. He sees any trees that you don't. Grid squares, he goes to all the ones that you don't. And drafting, he uses all the ones that you don't. So it really is very simple once you get down to it to play the single player game. And that's the one that I ended up playing. I actually haven't played it multiplayer yet. I'm hoping to get that to table with my wife maybe tonight or tomorrow. But Matt is going to get to play it tomorrow with his wife on co-optional.
Here.
Yep, right here on this channel. So if you have the files, you can play alongside with Matt as he and Aaron play. You can play the single player if you want to. So, but man, I don't know. Like going back just to the game and the gameplay, I will say as far as the roll and writes that we've played, and just to kind of run through that list so people kind of know kind of what we're holding it up against. The ones that we have played, which is not an exhaustive list, is Welcome to Your Perfect Neighborhood, On Tour, Lanterns Dice, Railroad Inc. What am I missing? Oh, Fleet the Dice Game.
Fleet, yeah.
And there's probably 1 or 2 others that I'm just not
Yeah,
I'm blanking on right now.
Tell you later. We'll tell you later.
But so with those, it and Fleet are in the same tier. That's kind of where we're putting them. This is going to be like deep nerd. I would say like Lanterns is the step from like a Welcome to. It's the next step up, and then it's going to get you to this game, to Seven Bridges, and also to Fleet the Dice game. So like Matt said, if you're looking for something that's a lot more involved, this is the game that you're going to want to play. The rules say about 15 to 20 minutes per player. And I think that a lot of that is based on the analysis paralysis. Like if you're going to have a hard time choosing where to go and what to do, then that's going to vary, obviously. We've ran into that big time with Lanterns Dice because you want to optimize your moves. This one, it's a lot easier to do because you can't just place anywhere. Like they have to connect. You can't start something out in the middle of nowhere. Once you've decided where you're starting from, then everything has to connect to something that comes off of that point.
Work it out,
Figure it out. Put on your big boy panties and get there. But I liked this game, and honestly, you never know when you just pick up a game at Origins or at any con, because there are so many out there. You never know if you're going to enjoy the game or not, and I can confidently say that I like this game. I think it is a good addition to the roll and write genre.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Ron, way to go, man. Like this, legit, that is not a sarcastic clap at all. Like I think that this is a great game, and I know people specifically, I have like names and faces in my mind right now that would love to play this game because this is how their brain works. Mm-hmm. I've got like civil engineers in my family, and so like this is like perfect, like route building, and it's kind of city planning a little bit here, so like figuring out the best way to optimize your moves, I think is great. And you can also play against people too. You don't have to just play single player, but I always love that games add in a single player aspect to it. So,
and we talked a little bit about landmarks and bridges, but like I also really enjoy the fact that all of the landmarks and all the bridges, like the names of those landmarks and bridges, like this is probably just like a really nerdy side of me that like enjoys those details. Like they're all in the rules. Like, all right, you want to know what A is? Oh, A is the Old Town Courtyard. That's what it is. Like, and you want to know what Bridge 1 is? Oh, that's the Green Bridge. Like, just like knowing those small details, like just really enhance the game for me. I know that's not going to be everyone's bag, but like I want to know those details personally. So I really enjoy that.
And you're probably wondering about our sweet dice.
No.
I mean, hey, like, wow, did these come with the game? Nah, dog, we had to make these. So it is 100% a roll and write, and it's a print to play rather. And so Matt and we sharped these, and there's a really sweet, I even forget what it is, but on Amazon you can get like 50 dice for $10. And they don't feel too bad. I mean,
no, they're fine. It was either like get 50 for 10 or get like 5 for 8. And like, well, I guess I'm gonna get 50.
Yeah, because I was thinking like, oh well, I'll probably use other dice for other games, or like the kids and I were trying to get into low level board game making and stuff like that. So it's really easy to do some custom dice. But I mean, if you are into this kind of thing, I say go for it. I wish we had a date for you, but you can follow Puzzling Pixel Games on Facebook, and they'll have all the information about when the Kickstarter is coming out. And then we'll also push it too whenever it comes to market on Kickstarter. And
if their goal is reached, we will have a copy to give away.
100% we will. Yep. Yeah, so whoever wins from tomorrow night on co-optional, not between Matt and Aaron, but
I'm gonna win.
Whoever wins the giveaway. Well, see, now you've set yourself up for failure.
I know. She wants me to lose. She's like,
That's
you always
called
beat
love.
me. I know. I want to win.
Well, so you're trying to pad your stats. That's what's going on.
I mean, I'm at like 56% for the year, which isn't great for me.
That's stupid.
Last year. I know.
Stupid. 56%?
Yeah. Last year I was like 65% almost all year. And then this year, I don't know what's going on.
Cheat.
Losing.
Yeah. I don't know. Bless up.
That's right.
But you can tune in tomorrow night on Co-Optional right here on this channel, right here on our Facebook page for Love Thy Nerd. And Matt and his wife Erin at about 9 p.m. Eastern time, kid dependent, they're going to be playing Seven Bridges, our print and play versions here. And all you have to do to enter for a giveaway for a copy of this game, a Kickstarter copy, deluxe edition, whatever the tip top thing is, we'll get it for you. All you have to do is like us on Facebook, Love Thy Nerd, and like Puzzling Pixel Games on Facebook as well. And then you have to share it. So that's 3 things. That's not bad, right?
It's not.
3 easy things.
And I make it pretty easy. Like you just have to click the little bolded words.
The bolded words. And once you do that, make sure, this is muy, muy importante. I've been doing Duolingo, so I got the words
I know what
here.
that means. I knew that one.
You have got to make sure that your share is public. If it's got any kind of privacy setting at all, Matt's not going to be able to find out if you actually did it. And we ran into a lot of issues early on with that, where it felt like almost nobody was doing it. They were like everybody had some sort of weird protective screen on their sharing. None of my stuff is that important. I just share everything with everybody.
No, it's all up.
Yeah, bless up. So make sure that at least for that post, you have your share settings set to public. And that'll do a good thing for us. It'll get our name out there, and it'll get the stream out there as well. And you're going to want to tune in anyway. Watching Matt and Aaron play games is the best. Like, it's hilarious. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night. But Matt, I mean, final words on Seven Bridges. Like, what did we not cover here?
I think we covered almost everything that I can think of. Mm-hmm. It's great. I'm ready to play right now.
Well, we're a little busy right now.
I know. Okay.
Yeah,
well, let's wrap this up. Yeah, you guys are really just going to want to check this out when it comes to Kickstarter, and we'll make sure to let you know when that happens. Yeah. If you like roll and write games, this is up your alley. If you don't like low-level roll and write games, but like more of a challenging one, this is up your alley. If you like low-level ones, this is up your alley. Like, honestly, this game's for everyone.
Yeah.
If you like history, this one's up your alley. Like,
oh yeah.
I think it's just really, this game is, the audience can be anyone who likes games or bridges or dice. Anyone.
Rivers? Buildings? Rivers? Landmarks?
Yep. Yeah, trees. 100 trees. Yeah.
And who knows, we might even do like a rules video on this. Once the rules everything gets solidified, we get the green light. We can do a quick rules video on this so that you just pick up and go. Again, guys, really into the roll and write thing. I love it. People were talking about, is it roll and writes? They're replacing legacy games. It's not true. It's just not true.
It's just a different game for different people, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I can like legacy games and this.
Yeah, you can.
Probably. I can, right? Thank you for the permission. That's good.
I'll allow it. But no, like video games go through all sorts of phases too, right? So like you have this, we had an isometric top-down thing. We had a MOBA. We had all these squad-based shooters. Like, now it's Battle Royale. Like, we have all these phases that we go through with games. And that doesn't necessarily mean that one genre is replacing the other, but it's good to see new stuff come in.
Right.
And if you think about it, both Legacy and Roll and Writes are fairly new. I mean, you can really say,
right. You can argue it, but yeah,
Yahtzee's a Roll and Write.
That's the original Roll and Write.
That's the OG Roll and Write. I'm sure it's not OG, but it's OG enough. OG mainstream. So I don't know. I like it. We could talk more about how we just like it, and we'll say the same thing over and over and over again. But if we didn't get our point across, you should probably check this game out if you are interested at all in Roll and Writes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. But I think that's going to do it for us here on the Beard Bros Game Show. Episode 29. We were talking about that.
Gosh, it feels like a billion.
Yeah. 29 going on 100 million badilia. But guys, we are here each and every Friday, unless we're not at.
Just wait for that.
At 5 o'clock Eastern time. and right here on our Facebook page. And we hope that you guys will come back and join us as we talk about a bunch of different games. And my wife and I, next week, I just want to let you know that my wife and I are going to be taking over Co-Optional while Matt's out of town. And we're going to be talking about here on Beard Bros Planet. And that's the new game by Blue Orange, and Infectious Gaming just did a video on it, playthrough on it today on their Facebook channel, and we're going to be doing it next week. And it's a new game that I got in that has a wonderful little tactile component to it where you're sticking magnets onto a planet to try and create the best one. So I loved photosynthesis. I loved the look of this, and I thought, what the heck?
That sounds awesome.
We'll just go for it. So tune in next week for that, but don't forget, before then, you're going to want to come back tomorrow night for 7 Bridges on Co-Optional with Matt and Aaron. Once again, guys, my name is Bubba Stallcup.
I'm Matt Warmbier.
And make sure to check out everything that we have to offer on lovethynerd.com. And you can also go to ltncon.info to get more information on our LTN Con coming up in October in Dallas. Well, guys, hey, if nobody else tells you this today, just remember that Jesus loves you, nerds.